Hey, what's up guys, Sir Emanon here, and welcome to a brand new season of Inside DB Rated. This is the series where I go ahead and spectate random matches on DB's ladder and just check out what's happening in the metagame as I commentate live. So, I'm going to be making a couple of different changes thanks to your guys' suggestions. So I do want to keep this series loyal to its original intentions, so I will be hiding the hands for the first run through of each gameplay, but I'm going to also be refreshing afterwards so that you guys can see from an analytical point of view what the hands were looking like, so you can kind of get an insight as to why decisions were being made, and we can talk about that from a retrospective point of view. This might cause the videos to be a little bit long, but hopefully it'll be a good compromise between players who want to see the hands and those who don't. And I apologize if I seem a little bit upset. It's because I'm kind of upset because I have spent all day today basically just trying to get a video out. The first one was a match that I recorded and I had everything ready to go, but then I looked at my sub box and the DB grinder already had it covered, so I didn't want to duplicate that content. It doesn't really make much sense. So I scrapped that video entirely and made a new one. And then my OBS somehow randomly changed settings on me to where it just ended up freezing the window capture completely, and I have no idea why I did that, but it was really annoying. And here we are. So sorry if my commentary is a little bit off, but I'll do my best for you guys. And I guess I already know what happens, so it's not really going to be a whole lot of value in terms of the live gameplay commentary. But I guess we'll make an exception for this one. Might as well just show the hands because I already know what goes on. But if that new format sounds good to you guys, definitely let me know, and I will make that adaptation starting from there. But we have Callum NUFC on 454 rating playing Goki here versus Seitan's Brayton 88 on 678 rating, who's playing Zoodiac Eldlich. So again, there's not really any point in me commentating live when I literally already watched the whole thing and commentated. So we're just going to go ahead and just, I guess, do a post-duel commentary for this one. There's not really a whole lot that can be done about it. I apologize, but, things like this happen, I guess. But we see a normal summon of Neospace Connector. That's going to go ahead and summon Aqua Dolphin from deck. And then that's going to go ahead and pitch the Twist Cobra to destroy the Ram. That's the only target here. And then he's going to link off into Isolde. That's going to search for a Suprex. And then he's going to use Isolde's other effect. That's going to summon a copy of Guts from deck. And here the thing with Neospace Connector in Goki is that this is a little bit awkward since you don't start off with a Goki, so you can never really search Headbat and use its effect, because normally you would want to use a Headbat right here to pitch this the Goki name that you search off Isolde, since you're not using it anyways. But he has to make a bit of an adaptation here because of that, and then go for Durendal instead, which will search a copy of Fire Flint Lady. Goki's pretty interesting in this format just because the format's a little bit grindier, so that might make Goki a bit better. So this is a deck I may end up revisiting. But we are going to see a Nibiru come down at this point. You kind of have to. That's the 5th summon, and they just make Appaloosa if you don't. And then just do the Codebreaker stuff. So he gets Nibiru, but he gets to search off Guts. That's going to grab a copy of Rematch. And then he's going to go ahead and banish Chu to add back Phoenix Blade. Then use Rematch to bring back the 2 Gokis. Notably, Twist Cobra was pitched, so it hasn't used its effect yet, which is pretty cool. And here, if he had played a Link Spider, he could do a variety of different plays. He could go Link Spider and then make a Link 2 with that and the Twist Cobra. If he played or if he wanted to go into Verte there or something, then he could search for Headbat and then use Headbat effect and keep going. But he's just gonna go into Verte here. Search for a Rematch for next turn off of the Twist Cobra, and then use the Verte effect to go ahead and summon Dragoon. Summoning in this zone to play around Geonator Transverser, and then that's going to go ahead and destroy Nibiru, and then pass from there. For turn, we're going to see a copy of Solemn Strike drawn for turn, which is pretty decent against Goki. Here, we're going to see a normal summon of Whiptail, and this just immediately deals with the Dragoon, because obviously Zeus is just going to out it no problem. He's going to go Battle Phase and attack, and then go into main phase 2, and then stack a bunch of materials for his Zeus. Notably, this is a minor point, but if he attacked a monster with that Borbo, then Dragoon could have negated it because Whiptail is mandatory, but that's not going to come up that often because you're usually just going to attack directly anyway. Zeus is going to activate, then Dragoon negate it, and then chain Zeus again. So Zeus wipes the whole board, and then Dragoon destroys Zeus. and then he's going to go ahead and set strike and Ice Dragon's Prison and pass. For turn, he draws a copy of Red Layer, which is pretty good. So there's a couple of options here. He knows about the Ice Dragon's Prison because it was revealed off of the connector, or rather the dolphin here. So he's going to go ahead and activate the rematch first. So they like ask about the ruling, basically. So essentially if a target gets removed, it tries to resolve as much as it can, since it special summons them, not like special summon both or those targets. So you just try and special whatever is remaining left after the Ice Dragon's Prison, which would just be one target. So he opts not to use it. So he's going to use Phoenix Blade next. That's going to banish True Warriors to add itself back. And then he goes into a copy of Phoenix, and that gets striked on summon, because he could then just chain block here and get value. So he goes and uses the Guts and the Twist Cobra on resolution in a new chain. So that searches for Headbat and a copy of Rematch. So from here you could just like Red Layer and then go for Goki plays. And his opponent's just gonna admit defeat right there, because he realizes that there's like Super X plus Goki, and that's the Ice Dragon's Prison probably isn't gonna be enough to stop in most cases. And he just didn't really have much of an engine left. It might have been worth playing that one out, just because like if he probably wasn't going to play into it because he already knew about the Ice Dragon's Prison, but there was a small chance he wasn't dead. But moving on to game 2, where you're gonna see Eldlich Zoo go first. If you guys are enjoying this commentary, definitely be sure to leave a like as well as subscribe if you are new here and enjoy seeing this type of gameplay. But Eldlich Zoo is just going to go ahead and set Conquistador, Scarlet, and Ice Dragon's Prison and just pass from there with Nib and Ash in hand, which is pretty decent. And then Callum's opener is Rematch, Super X, Red Layer, Red Eyes Black Dragon, and Phoenix Blade. So it's not great, but it's good enough to combo. He draws a copy of Durendal for turn as well. But he ends up passing. So when I was doing the previous recording here, I was kind of surprised because I had the hands hidden, right? So I didn't know what was in his hand. And I was wondering why that was the case. It's still kind of interesting to me. Maybe he's only playing these two as equips, so Isil doesn't really do a whole ton. And he just wanted to kind of wait a little bit. Like maybe assuming his opponent just bricked. But I still feel like you just try and apply a little bit of pressure because you have the Goki engine kind of going. So you're able to still float and make like, you know, just small pushes with like nightmares and things of that nature. So I don't know, I found it a little bit strange that he just decided not to commit whatsoever. Plus he left in the Dragoon package, so he could have like defaulted to that if he did end up getting interrupted. Which I mean, there were some interruptions here, but it wasn't a whole ton. But end phase we're going to see Scarlet summon out Lord, and then he passes turn, and he draws a Wakero. So he just has a bunch of Eldlich stuff going on right now. Going to hit for 2500 in the battle phase, and then end phase going to use the Scarlet to set Wakero, and then pass from there. For turn, he's going to draw a copy of Ash, so it's not really going to change his ability to combo that much. He's going to use his Durendal targeting the Golden Lord. That's going to go and search for a copy of Renaud. So he's on like a decent amount of Infernable stuff. Like not enough to where he's like focusing on them because he's obviously playing like a heavy Goki package. We saw a bunch of rematches last game. He was on 3 of them. So he's also on the Dragoon stuff, so clearly he's like playing more of a Goki focused build, but it's interesting to see these as like extenders. But he's gonna go ahead and special out Red Layer, and then special Renaud. He was considering using Conquistador there because he saw this Renaud be searched, so that would kind of just turn it off, but ultimately decides against it. Then he goes for the Renaud to add back the Durendal, and he's gonna make Phoenix, and then use that effect to pitch the Phoenix Blade and target the Conquistador, which he's going to opt to chain. And he's going to pass. So, again, he's just not using the Gokis here. Like, 'cause he has normal summon this turn. So he's just choosing not to commit the Gokis to the board. Because I think if he had started playing from the last turn, he would have had enough Gokis to make this rematch live for sure. So I still find it a little bit interesting that he just opted to play that conservatively earlier. But end phase, we're going to see Wakero. That's going to banish the Renaud and summon itself. And then for turn, we see a top decked Bunny Blast. So there's the Zoo engine here. Gonna normal it, and then go into Hammer Kong, and then Trident. He's going to then enter the battle phase and attack for a meaningful amount of damage. And then he has Ice Dragon's Prison, so he's going to go ahead and just take anything and then go for game there. So a little bit interesting that the Goki player opted to just play it really safely. I personally would have at least tried to make a bit of a push, because I mean, your opponent didn't have any Zoo cards, so they'd have to top deck them, because otherwise it was just gone for Trident, right? So I mean, you don't have to fear Zeus that much, and I think Goki can grind fairly well against Eldlich, all things considered, because I mean, every turn you're getting a rematch, as every turn they're like rotating through the Eldlich cards, so I feel like Goki's actually decently positioned against like the Eldlich engine specifically, because it can play through a lot of stuff with, like, you have Suprix, plus you have rematch, so you almost always have like 4 monsters to be able to just push through for free every single turn. But we're gonna see game 3 now. We're gonna see Goki go first. And the opening for Goki is double Fire Flint Lady with a Phoenix Blade, Suprex, and a Bear Hug. So this is enough to combo as well. It's really interesting to see him play Bear Hug, just because, like, I don't think you need this many names personally, but it is definitely, you definitely want like some number of Goki names for sure. But this doesn't really combo that well with, say, things like Red Layer, for example, which we saw. And it obviously just kind of can be a brick sometimes, just because it can't be normaled. But nonetheless, this hand's good. And then for Eldritch Zoo, the hand is Wakero, Tenki, Ash, Strike, and Droll. Droll re-entering the format is kind of interesting for this deck, because this deck can lose to it unless you open like specifically Suprix plus Goki, in which case you can definitely just play past it. I had a very long combo tutorial video from way back in September. Well, I guess it's not way back, but from a couple months ago here. And there were a couple of instances where you can either choose to play straight up through this card or play around it. So this card can be a hindrance sometimes if your opponent's not respecting it, if you're trying to like look at side options for this deck. But overall, this hand is pretty strong. He's going to go ahead and normal Suprix and then go Bear Hug, and then make Isolde, and then grab all of his searches. So Bear Hug going to grab Rematch, Suprix grabs Headbat, and then Isolde grabs a Scorpio. So yeah, here, even if you get Drilled, which he's going to drop it here, it's not that bad, because in provided that he didn't have this Ash too, but like, say the Ash resolves, or sorry, say the Isolde resolves, you could go for Guts and then go Headbat, and you can choose to like go Appaloosa and then do the whole rematch play if you're willing to like forfeit your Goki engine for next turn, because that kind of just expends all of them. Or you can like go the whole like Appaloosa route and then do like the Codebreaker stuff, and then like summon Fire Flint Lady and then like leave one of your Gokis on board after your rematch. So that's like one way to do it as well. Really depends on like if you value having like that many follow-up cards in your hand, because it could definitely matter in a matchup that's grindy like this one. He's gonna summon out Fire Flint Lady first, which I find to be very interesting, because that tells us that he's like not planning to go that route, since there's not really a whole lot of reason to do it this way, since it loses harder to Nibiru. So yeah, this is a very conservative approach. He doesn't even opt to use the Isolde effect, which, again, as I was like live commentating it earlier, I was thinking that like, oh, maybe he just drew all of his equip spells, but we saw he played Durendal, and he obviously has one in deck, even if he's only on one. So very interesting they chose not to do this. That could have like fetched out the Ash for free, and this end result would have ultimately just been the exact same. So I found that to be a very fascinating choice as well. But he's playing quite conservatively, going for Dragoon again, playing around Geonator, and then just passing. To be fair, like, this kind of hand is very strong in this matchup, since your opponent's not really going to ever kill you. So as long as you're just able to have rematches every turn, I think he just wanted to conserve and not, you know, play the rematch and just have an extra turn of longevity, which is definitely fair. But I mean, you also know that Dragoon is always just going to be traded with Zeus. But it's not such a bad thing, I guess, to force out Zeus every single time, basically, because your opponent just has to answer it at some point. He's going to go ahead and activate Tenki. That's going to search a Ram. He's considering negating this, which, I mean, I could see, because, like, if they don't have another Zoo in hand and you keep the Zoo off the board, then your Dragoon just lives for a turn for free. But ultimately deciding it's not worth it, he's just going to normal Bunny Blast and then go into Borbo. Attack directly, and then go main phase 2. He set Wakero just so he can get his Scarlet earlier. And then go for Zeus. We're going to see the same stuff as in game 1, basically. This is very similar. Zeus chilling 1, Dragoon chilling 2, Zeus chilling 3. the board gets wiped, and then Zeus dies to Dragoon. He's gonna set strike and then go for Walkera in the end phase and get a copy of Scarlet. So he again has strike set similar to game 1 yet again, and he has Ash. But Goki's in a fine spot here because it's all engine cards right now. He draws another Headbat for turn, which isn't amazing, but I mean it's another Goki name, so it's okay. He's gonna go ahead and banish 2 warriors to add back the Phoenix Blade, and then lead with a copy of Rematch. I'm assuming that he's just playing around Ice Dragon's Prison at all points, which is definitely fair, because that card can definitely ruin your day if you are not careful. So just making sure that you always have Rematch so that like if they chain to it, you still get value, and then they burn the Ice Dragon's Prison for basically nothing since you have no board at that point. And if they use it like here, then it's basically just a 1-for-1, but at this stage you can just go into Phoenix to try and like force it out or hit it directly. So I really like that he's opting to use Rematch. I mean, you could do the same thing if you have a Super X plus a normal summon, but Super X plus a Goki to be able to special summon off of it, but you'll have access to Rematch a lot of the time anyways. He's going to link those 2 off for a Phoenix, which gets striked again on summon, which allows him to then grab searches, so he gets a Rematch again for next turn, plus a Super X, and we have not normal summon yet, so he can go for a Super X and then go for a Scorpio. He's going to go Battle Phase here, which I guess is fine, because like, you don't want to lose a strike. Or like if you are going to lose a strike, you might as well have dealt damage, because this would have been like 41, and then that would have brought him down to, what is it, 24, and then strike would have brought him down to 9 if that was the second one. But he knew it was a Scarlet anyways, so I guess right now he's just trying to get damaged in. But I mean, in theory, right, if it was another strike, that would be a decent, because then he'd have like all these resources, and then his opponent would have very few, and you would just be able to basically OTK next turn. Or not OTK, but finish your opponent off. But we knew this was Scarlet, obviously, because it was set off the Wakero. So kind of a moot point. But yeah, that's going to go ahead and block, and then he's going to go for Isolde. He's going to grab Scorpio and the Isolde searches. He would use Headbat, or sorry, he would use Super X this turn. Gonna grab the Twist Cobra, as well as Connector off of the Isolde, so even more follow-ups for next turn. Just checking that he has Ram, because it was search off Tenki. And then he's going to mill the Durendal off of Isolde to special summon out Renaud. Well, that's going to get ashed, actually. He thought he was going to send more. Yeah, so he ashes the Isolde instead. So then he's going to follow that up by special summoning Fire Flint Lady, and then using the on-field effect to special a Warrior from hand. So he's going to summon out Twist Cobra, and then use Headbat to get rid of the other Headbat, summon itself. And then he's going to make a copy of Masquerena, grabbing double searches. So he'll have Super X plus Goki plus Rematch for next turn, and a follow-up connector just in case. So he's pretty well set. So we could consider like using Unicorn here to, or like here spun the Golden Lord with like Unicorn previously instead of just going to IP. But he knows that there's a Zoo in hand, so he just wants to prevent Zeus again. Because this is a spot where you can definitively say you probably just beat the Eldlich engine straight up. So not really too bad there. Just going to pass. And then he draws a copy of Scarlet for turn. He's going to normal summon the Ram and then get hit with the Masquerena into Unicorn. Unicorn going to pitch the Phoenix Blade to shuffle it back. And from here, like, he's just going to go ahead, attack over the Unicorn, but you're totally fine with that. And then set a back row, and then just going to go ahead and Scarlet for Conquistador. So now it's Conquistador, and at maximum another back row. But this hand can definitely play through like Strike or Ice Dragon's Prison, and those are like the most impactful ones. Maybe Torrential could be impactful, but he has ways to possibly force it. But all those don't really matter because he drew Twin Twister for turn. So that's just going to take care of any lingering problems on the board. Going to banish your Phoenix Blade, and then use a Twin Twister, and that is just going to be the end of the game and the end of the match. So Goki takes this one 2-1. Pretty interesting to see this deck in this format. I think it is definitely probably worth revisiting on my end, so I might get around to that. Just because the grindiness of this deck is really cool against a lot of decks that do opt to grind more so nowadays. And moving into control-ish format, where there's a lot less combo decks, this could be kind of a nice adaptation to where you just play a little bit of a slower game. You're noticing he was never really full comboing off, even if he had the ability to. And we didn't see like any Phantom Knight stuff either, so that's something to note as well. So yeah, this is pretty interesting. Maybe some like niche interactions would be like, now that Bella's in the format, rematch could be kind of fascinating to look at, because it is an activate once per turn, so you could like search multiples and then play around Bell. And then like Meister is also in the format, so that could like shut off Gokis if you like try and chain block via Isolde. Maybe you chain block differently. So there's a lot of different things to maybe think about with Goki this format. But that's gonna do it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Again, I apologize that this commentary might have been not up to snuff necessarily, but hope you guys still enjoyed. Just trying to get a video out still for you guys today, because I literally spent all day from noon trying to get this get a video out for you guys today. So this is why I try and plan in advance, and I'm gonna be doing that tonight so that I don't run into this again tomorrow. But thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like if you did, as well as any comments down below. And until next time, I'll just catch you in the next video. See you guys.